Breaking news here to CBS Sports HQ, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter. The MRI is back for Barkley. Giants running back Saquon Barkley suffered a high ankle sprain, and he's expected to be out 4 to 8 weeks. So, Pete, what do the Giants do?
Pick up a veteran back and hope like heck that he gets back sooner than 6 weeks or 8 weeks, because nobody they pick up is anything close to him, and Wayne Gallman certainly is.
Okay, so Wayne Gallman owned in 6% of leagues. How interested are you in picking him up now?
Well, I'm going to put in a claim for him everywhere, and he's going to get a huge chunk of fab, and we're probably going to start him this week if you land him.
Just keep an eye out for some of these names. Alfred Morris, maybe Jay Ajayi, most likely C.J. Anderson, who was cut by the Lions last week and we know has bounced around the league the last couple of years. 13% owned on CBSSports.com leagues, could be the one that the Giants turn to, but for now, Wayne Gallman.
I'm Chris Hassel, and we are going to begin this hour with breaking news. The New York Giants and all their fans feeling great after the Daniel Jones comeback victory, but Saquon Barkley is going to be out a month or two. 4 to 8 weeks is the time frame, according to ESPN. Saw him in a walking boot after he left the field late in the first half of that comeback win against the Bucs. He was then on crutches, running all over the place with those crutches to celebrate with his teammates after the comeback victory. Wayne Gallman had 30 yards in his stead, also had 3 catches for 24 yards. This is huge for both the Giants and in fantasy, where he was the #1 running back in many, many leagues going into the season. Looking at the Giants' schedule, they're now 1-2. A very winnable game coming up in Week 4 as well. They host the Washington Redskins. Daniel Jones now the starting quarterback moving forward. After the Redskins, they host the Vikings, and then it's on to New England. All right, let's bring in Pete Prisco and Jamie Eisenberg. We knew it didn't look good. Didn't know how long it was going to be. Still, it's iffy, between a month or two. So the time frame not totally pinned down, but he's going to be out a while.
If he didn't go skipping on his crutches, it might have been 4 weeks. But no, seriously, high ankle sprains are hard to come back from at any position, but it's even more so at the running back position. So I would lean more toward the high end here of 8 weeks, which is a big hit to the Giants. He is their offense. I mean, Daniel Jones looked good, but everything they do is off that running.
They did make the comeback without him, though. They were down 18.
But they were in
They were playing a high school defense.
Yeah, that wasn't a good defense. And they were in, come from behind mode. But I'm talking about lining up and playing week in and week out. They need Saquon Barkley. This is a big hit to that offense.
And if you show their schedule again, you could see that it's probably going to be a situation where if you're the Giants at this point, why would you rush him back before the bye week? Because this isn't a team that's going to the playoffs. This is about developing Daniel Jones, developing the offensive line, finding out what you have on defense. And so the last thing you want to do is have a situation where he re-aggravates it. It's going to feel, the thing that I thought of initially when I saw the 4 to 8 weeks and knowing that their bye is week 11 is David Johnson. Remember 2017? He had the wrist injury. They fell out of playoff contention, and what did they do? They sat him down. We always kept waiting. He's going to come back. He's going to come back. He's going to come back. Is he still a candidate for short-term IR? They can still put him on, right?
But I don't think they will, because it's not definitively 8 weeks, so you don't do that if you get him back in 4 weeks. I'm with you. I'd be much more on the side of caution here and make it 8 weeks to 10 weeks or whatever if he's not ready to play. But, this is a kid who loves football. If he's ready to play after 4 weeks, he's going to play.
But you have to be smart as an organization, knowing
But if he's cleared,
2020 is the year that they can. If Daniel Jones looks 70% of what he showed us against the Bucs, and that's the type of quarterback that he's going to make plays with his legs, and he's going to be able to carry a team and bring them back from a deficit and play like that and be a franchise guy, then 2020 they're going to be in playoff contention. They may not be a playoff team.
I'm with you. But again, if he's cleared medically and he wants to play.
Oh, if he's cleared, it's a different story. But yeah, I think if you're going to be 4 to 8 weeks, we always, you always lean toward the latter side. Remember AJ Green, 6 to 8 weeks?
No.
We're going on 8
Tell
weeks
me
now.
about it.
We're going on 8 weeks now. He hasn't been back yet.
What about Wayne Gallman and what you have to do to pick up the pieces if you're a Saquon Barkley owner in fantasy?
I think the first thing you're going to see is who's they're going to bring in to, complement the backfield. And we were just talking about this on fantasy football today. You have C.J. Anderson, who's probably the most likely guy, just got cut by the Lions and showed last year that he can come to a team, step right in, and be successful. Different scenarios, so don't expect him to do what he did with the Rams, but that's a logical one. Jay Ajayi is still out there. If they want to try and get a guy to maybe help from a veteran standpoint, I don't know if that makes a lot of sense because he's probably still looking for some more money, but Alfred Morris is a guy that, gets a lot of tryouts and bounces around the league as well. They could also make a trade. You could see if a team is disgruntled, maybe the Dolphins, if they want to move on from Kenyon Drake and the Giants want to make a move like that, if they can get him from a cheap standpoint in terms of a draft pick. But if it's Wayne Gallman, and it's most likely to be him as the starter, you're talking about a guy that's a flex. You're going from having the #1 running back in your backfield for fantasy to a guy who's a borderline starter. It's a very good offensive line. Things may open up now offensively because of the quarterback, and that's a shame coming out of that game yesterday, because seeing what Daniel Jones could have done with Barkley would have been the best part about watching this whole offense look and how the whole feel would have gotten from this Giants team. But Gallman is somebody that you have to spend probably 15 to 20% of your fab budget on, just because if it is 4 to 8 weeks of a starting running back, that's what you want to have on your fantasy team, and he's probably going to be the #1 player added.
Pete, how much harder does this make it for Daniel Jones? I mean, it would have been nice to have one of the best running backs in the league to lean back on. Now he's going to have to be passing it more, you would think.
Yeah, absolutely. But not just that. It's how you play him. When you defend a team that can run the ball, you used to have to bring the safety down. Well, now you're not going to have to bring the safety down, or you wouldn't think you would have to bring the safety down. So that makes it tougher on him to get lanes and avenues to throw the football into. So it's going to be challenging. Look, the Redskins aren't a great defensive team. They're okay. But after that, he's got, Minnesota and New England? Those are going to be real challenges, because they're not going to have an option to really run the football.
Jamie, Daniel Jones already twice as many touchdowns as Baker Mayfield. So there were people going into today thinking, especially Giants fans, I want to get this guy. I want to start him. What does the Saquon news do to that narrative?
Nothing for this week, because you're getting a Washington defense, like Pete said. They're not very good. They're coming off of a short week. They're probably going to be physically beat up by playing the Bears, because the Bears are a physical team. So I think it sets up for Daniel Jones, and again for Wayne Gallman as well, to be useful in week 4. And so if you take it on a week-to-week basis, remember, Chris, there are a lot of fantasy players that are dealing with the loss of Drew Brees, the loss of Roethlisberger, the loss of Cam Newton, and you're scrambling at the quarterback spot. And one guy you may have picked up, which was disappointment, was Jimmy Garoppolo, who's now on a bye. So you have to find somebody that can get you by, maybe just on a week-to-week basis. And if Daniel Jones comes out of this Washington game playing well, which I think he will, I would play him over Baker Mayfield, just if you want to ask, because Mayfield's got to play tough matchup going into Baltimore. I think you're looking at Daniel Jones as having a 20 to 25 type of game. Getting Sterling Shepard back was huge. Evan Ingram's a big playmaker. Your guy that you've been talking about, Darius Slayton, making some plays. And so if you're the Giants and you're Pat Shurmur, A, it makes sense to lean on Daniel Jones because now you don't have Saquon Barkley there. But B, it's also lean on Daniel Jones to see if in an uncomfortable situation where you don't have the safety valve, go out and show what you can do as a young quarterback. And I think he's going to play well.